know that you said that you would not apologize. Is there anything that you want to clarify or any part of your statement that you want to take back here today?
Not a chance.
Republican Congressman Allen West is not backing down despite the uproar over his comments to Democratic Congresswoman Debbie Wasserman Schultz. After Wasserman Schultz took issue with West on policy, West made it personal. He sent the Congresswoman an email, CC'd the House leadership, and called her vile, unprofessional, and despicable, and, quote, not a lady. He has since refused to apologize. In fact, he's fundraising off his comments and taking a victory lap with right-wing talkers. Early on Mark Levini's radio show, West claimed that the reason why people are so upset over this email is because he's a black conservative.
What we do is we totally invalidate the liberal social welfare policies and programs. And, you know, I'm the threat because I'm the guy that got off of their 21st century plantation.
And on Fox Business Network, West was offered several opportunities to walk back his comments, but he wouldn't take the bait. Instead, West, a former lieutenant colonel, booted from the Army for beating a man in Iraq, blamed the military for his behavior.
There are certain ways that we speak in the military, and I guess I have not learned the D.C. insider talk that maybe some of these people are used to. Don't poke me in the chest.
Wow. Congressman West, are you going to apologize to the brave men and women serving our military for that comment, or are you just going to fundraise off it? Don't use our troops to justify your lack of decency. Time now to bring in Jeff Santos, host of the Jeff Santos radio show in Boston, Massachusetts. Errol Lewis, host of the Inside City Hall on New York One. And from Las Vegas, Heidi Harris, host of the Heidi Harris Show. Great to have all of you with us. Errol, I want to go to you first. How does he balance the comment he made about race when he insulted Debbie Wasserman Schultz, saying that she's not a lady? Where's the connection here?
Well, the connection is he's trying to change the subject, obviously. He wants to blame it on the military. He wants to blame it on the insiders, the outsiders, racial politics, anything to distract from the fact that he made what is simply a political gaffe. And there's just no getting around it. The sooner he apologizes, the better. I mean, you alienate so many people, young people, women, people who like civility in politics. You can't go, I mean, where do you go after you call somebody vile and despicable? What do you do the next day? You know, so I think he's in a dead end. He may not realize it yet, but I guarantee you anything, Ed, that the leadership is quietly pulling him aside and saying, look, you got to walk this back. We can't do this every day.
Heidi Harris, is he right not walking it back and sternly saying that he won't apologize? Your thoughts?
Of course he is. I love Colonel West. He's been on my show a bunch of times. I think he's terrific. The problem the left has with him is he's not your typical right-leaning weenie who backs off the first time somebody pulls the race card, the woman card, and cries. He stands by what he said. Remember, the Debbie What's-Her-Name Schultz stood there on the House floor and bashed him when he wasn't in the room. That is gutless. That is rude. That is despicable. And then she's crying about it. You're not allowed to hit the boy first and run back in the House crying when he hits you back, especially the House of Representatives. It's embarrassing.
But Heidi, wasn't she talking about policy of Medicare and supporting a program that would affect lives?
No, she was not. Because no, she was trying to characterize Colonel West as trying to starve the old ladies, which is her opinion, but that is not the fact. That's not what Colonel West is advocating.
So what has Debbie Wasserman Schultz done that makes her not a lady?
Well, she was rude about the fact that she bashed him on the House floor when he wasn't in the room. And the point that he made in his email was, you want to talk to me face to face, we'll talk face to face. But she was gutless in her approach, and he called her on it. And then she tries to play the girl card, and he's not going for it.
Jeff, how do you measure this?
Look, he's not ready for prime time, first of all. You know, first of all, he doesn't even live in the district that he represents. He lives in Debbie Wasserman Schultz's district, number one. Number two, this is a guy who thinks he's an outsider and he wants to play for this. Yet he was part of the military, the inside part of American Foundation. It's just laughable. He's trying to basically backpedal on everything right now.
And why is he trying to do that? Why does he think he's right?
Well, I think he lives in his own planet. I don't know. I think that he's somebody at some point. Boehner, they're obviously a little busy right now. They're going to bring him together and say, look, just stop this. I think.
I think he
I don't know
may
what
be
you're
falling
talking about,
victim to something
backpedaling.
that another congressman that we've talked about on this program had named Anthony Weiner, ex-congressman. It's easy to fall victim to. You're the darling of the talk shows. You seem to raise a lot of money. People think that you're bold. You seem to be unique. And the reality is you're just out there in la-la land. And what seems to work for a while can really backfire. This kind of talk just doesn't work.
All right, let's talk about.
You say that he's backpedaling.
Hold
He's
on,
not
Heidi.
backpedaling.
Let's talk about the debt ceiling for a moment. Is the president going to cave, and what would you constitute as a cave, Jeff?
Well, if any of the three, the big three, as you say, Medicaid, Medicare, Social Security, are touched at any significant level. I'm not talking about, something 0.5% here and you take out some dollars that save some money off of companies who provide an x-ray machine. Outside of that, if he destroys it in any form in terms of the foundation that was done in the 1960s with LBJ and FDR in the 1930s, it's a bad day for the Democratic Party, and it's a bad day for America.
And Heidi, why don't the Republicans go along with what the American people want? Clearly, every survey out there shows that they don't want the big three to be a part of this.
Well, there are plenty of Americans who understand that the big three are not sustainable. And the only way to fix the problem in America financially is to make changes to the big three. We're not talking about decimating them. We're just talking about making changes. Anybody who tells you those programs are sustainable is a liar. And a lot of American people are not that
Social Security is
stupid.
not sustainable?
Of course not. Absolutely not. If it was sustainable, why would the age have been 65 to begin with? Why? Because you weren't expected to live long enough to need it. Duh.
Errol, what about the surplus in Social Security that we borrowed
Yeah,
against?
I mean, look, if you compare it to any other program, it is far more stable than almost anything else. You don't find other programs where they say, well, there might be a problem in 20 and 30 years, so let's fix it today. The reality is it's fine for now. I think what you are going to see, though, to answer your question, Ed, is if they change it in such a way that the change comes in 10 or 20 years, like maybe the eligibility level goes up to 67 years, not with anybody who's alive now, but starting in 10 years, starting in 15 years, that's not a cave. That's actually a structural reform. If something like that is being considered, I think the president gets away with it. If they take away things that people have now, then there's going to be political price to pay.
I think if they touch it
one
in any
other
way,
thing,
shape, or form,
Harry-
it's going to be a problem. All right, switching subjects again. Heidi, I want to ask you, is Michelle Bachmann fit to serve with her headaches?
Absolutely. I get migraines. I feel for her. I was reading all the things that, have been said about her, being sick on a plane, being sick in offices. I've been there, done that. I function fine at my job. I think she'll be fine. You want to go back and look at all the past presidents, all the health problems they've had. They've served correctly. One other thing I want to get a point in here about Harry Reid. He said Social Security was good for 20 years. Now we're not even sure it's good for 20 days. So that's just another lie from Harry Reid.
Well, you're wrong on that, Heidi. It is good for the next, actually, 26 years. It's
So
well
why are
funded.
the
We've
checks
just
gonna
borrowed
come out in
against
3
it.
weeks
But that's
then?
okay. I understand how you Republicans think on stuff. So you think that Michelle Bachmann is just fine, this should not be an issue, then why did Tim Pawlenty, the former governor of Minnesota, go after her, and why did Karl Rove go after her?
Well, I think people have brought it up, and then Tim Pawlenty tried to walk it back a little bit. I still think it's unfair. I think that a lot of presidents have had a lot of health problems over the years. She'll be fine. I don't see why it's a big issue. And I think, in a way, and I never played the girl card myself, but I think it is a kind of a swipe at women because more women than men get migraines. And so I think it's some kind of subtle way to go after her because she's a woman. I think it's,
I think the
question.
Republicans have got a war on women, and I also think that she is scaring the hell out of the establishment. I give her a lot of credit for the way she stood up to them and didn't back down to the attacks. Jeff Santos,
Yeah.
Errol Lewis,
Yeah.
and also Heidi Harris. Thanks for having me be here tonight. I appreciate your time. Rush Limbaugh cranks up the heat on the climate change denials. Psycho Talk is coming up. Stay with us.